right, friends, I am just so excited to be here. We're here in Edmonton. We're bringing On Location to Edmonton. I'm your host, Zara Durrani. The show is brought to you with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE. It's been such an exciting time here because I've got an opportunity to see Edmonton from the eyes of the locals, and they've been showing me and taking me around to places. I've visited Edmonton before, but I didn't visit it like this. What I'm truly excited about is actually sitting down with Kelsey Mitchell, Olympic gold medalist. She was also in Milano Cortina, as you could hear us talking very passionately about Milan. I was there as well. I didn't get a chance to connect with her, but connected with her coach and her other athletes on the BobSleigh team. And she has just this incredible story. She's a multi-sport athlete, and we get to sit down with her. And I was like, you know what? I'm very passionate about the Olympics. I'm very passionate about our Canadian athletes and the fact that we get to be here and get to sit down with her. Thank you so much for making time for us just before your training.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to chat with you about it more.
Thank you. This is your first interview.
It's my first live, podcasty interview talk. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I get to be the first one. When did you know that you wanted to compete? When did you know that you were like, hey, I think I can push my body. This is something that I want to take seriously, or just having an inclination towards sport? How old were you?
Well, I started sport at like age 4. I have an older sister, younger brother as well, but my older sister was playing soccer, so I wanted to play soccer, and I just had a lot of energy, and so my parents put me in all the sports. So I just loved being an athlete, and then my best sport was soccer, and so I kind of dove into that, and I got to play at the University of Alberta and then at NAIT as well here in Edmonton. And then after my 5 years, I kind of didn't know what was next. I'd only known being an athlete, and so I attended RBC Training Ground, which is the Olympic Combine, where they test your athleticism and see if you could fit into a different sport. And so soccer was kind of done for me, and then that's when I was introduced to track cycling, and brand new sport I'd never done before, and this was at age 23, and then so I went all in with that, and then ended up getting to join Team Canada and go to multiple Olympics.
Tell us about the Olympics you've been to.
The Olympics. So I've gone to Tokyo 2020, which actually happened in 2021 because of COVID. Got to go to Paris 2024, which you were at as well. And then obviously the most recent, I got to go to Milano Cortina 2026. 2 in track cycling, and then made the switch and did a winter sport of bobsleigh.
I'd love to hear, and so with our viewers, what does it require to be an Olympic level athlete? What sort of mindset do you need to have? When you are sitting at a start line, knowing everything comes down to just seconds, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, I feel like it's changed obviously from when I first started to where I am now. And going into Tokyo, especially with COVID being the year before, I knew I had done everything possible to be the best I could be when I got on the line. We had an extra year to train. We had no distractions. We were training, recovering, and that was basically my life, which I actually loved. I did very well in that structured environment. And so when I got on the line, all the hard work had been done, and so the outcome was the outcome, and I was very zen and at peace with whatever it would be. And obviously I got a gold medal from that, and so that was kind of the pinnacle of my career, or something that I now strive for mentally, to be back in that headspace. And then the journey to Paris was ups and downs. Very tough to go through. When I got on the line there, I was completely defeated. I'd already lost before I got on the line, which is a very hard thing to kind of go through.
Tell me.
I knew where I was at, and I wasn't anywhere near my best, but the rest of the world and the rest of Canada didn't know, and so it was reigning Olympic champion, can she defend it, sort of thing. And so it was very
pressure.
Yeah, there was definitely pressure, but I already was disappointed in myself. I obviously went out there and did absolutely the best I could on that day, with the legs that I had and the fitness that I had, but it obviously just wasn't enough. And so to go through that was tough. And then but mentally I grew so much, and I got so much stronger and tougher, and just grew, so much as a person as well. And so when I took a step away from cycling and kind of thought what I really wanted to do in life, and I had promised myself when I started this journey, I was like, I'm going to do it as long as it makes me happy, because sport makes me so happy, and I love it so much. And so as long as that fire's still there, then I'm going to keep going. And the fire was still there, but it wasn't in cycling, and my body just needed a break from the bike. And so I very luckily came across BobSleigh and got to go all in with that, and ended up being in an environment that I absolutely loved. The people were wonderful, and I loved being on a team, and it was just I had so much fun, and I enjoyed being an athlete again. And so then I fell back in love with sport.
So tell me about the shift, and tell me about the training. How was training different? I mean, obviously totally different sport, but similarities, because you're a professional athlete, high performance athlete. Tell me about the switch in training. Yeah,
so physically, it translated pretty well with leg power being a big thing in bobsleigh. I hadn't ran in a long time, and so getting impact again on my feet on ice and shoes that had no support was pretty hard on the body. And just learning how to fully exert myself in 5 seconds basically, versus being on a bike where it's a little bit more endurance. So that was a big change as well. And I didn't realize how much work bobsleigh was, outside of the actual sport of moving the sled and polishing the runners. And we do all that, where in cycling we had mechanics that kind of took care of our bikes, and our bikes are quite light.
I was shocked. I was actually shocked to learn that by watching Redemption.
Yeah. I think Redemption Run did such a good job of showing Canadians the behind the scenes of stuff that you would never see at the Olympics. I had to learn in the sport. I wish I could have seen the documentary before I joined, because I would have realized how much work it really is. Yeah.
I had no idea you guys had to do all the work. I was like, what?
Me too. And I'd already signed on. I was like, I'm doing it, but this is a lot of work. Yeah.
I know. Watching, I'm like, really? I thought they had people doing that.
Yeah. No. Some countries do. Obviously, if they have the funding, they have the support, and they're able to hire the staff. But obviously Canada's in a tough spot financially, and the first thing usually to go, unfortunately, is funding for sport. And
I hear bobsleigh is struggling right now.
Yeah, bobsleigh, it was tough. It was $25,000 just to be on the team. And so when I joined, we didn't have that kind of cost in cycling, obviously, and so,
You had to pay?
Yeah.
Oh mon Dieu.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So crazy. I was
able to get support, and I have some people that supported me in cycling and wanted to support me in bobsleigh as well, which is incredible. So I was able to fundraise for it. I think a lot of athletes were, but it's tough. It's tough to go up and ask people for money. It's just a uncomfortable thing, especially at this age. When maybe you're under 18 or a younger adult, you know that you don't know the finances. But now being at 30, and all my friends basically have careers, and they're starting their family, they're moving on for their next phases in life. I'm still asking now for money to help fund my athletic journey and career, but people support it, and it's really incredible that there's some Canadians that will stand behind you.
Well, you're representing the country too. You know, it's what you're putting your body through, because it's not just the final, okay, we're in Milan or Tokyo or Paris, and it was a month ago we started training. No, it's ongoing. You're training right after this. It's ongoing discipline, mindset. I was talking to Justin, your coach, also Olympian, and he was mentioning, and he's like, Zara, we do it so much, so by the time we get to Olympics, it's in the body. There's nothing different from what you eat to when you wake up, to what time you have lunch, to the training, to everything, that it's just normal. So you are so prepared that when you're there,
you're not thinking.
You're just doing. Everything is just breathing, because it's so in your system. Because for me, I could only imagine the mindset of it, right? And then the added pressure because you're representing your country, and then when you bring home the gold, and then the next year the pressure of okay, what does that mean? So let's talk about Tokyo and winning the Olympic gold. What do you remember most about that moment?
Standing on the podium, hearing the national anthem and seeing the Canadian flag going up, and just kind of knowing, obviously there wasn't allowed to have spectators, so friends and family were all back home in Canada, and I knew it was like the perfect time because it was like in the evening for them on a Saturday, and I knew they'd all be having a beer and singing the national anthem as well. And so that was a very, very special moment, and we'll cherish that for the rest of my life. The most emotional part for me is like 3 days before that, I got to watch my teammate, one of my best friends, win a bronze medal. And I remember seeing her on the podium and being so emotional, way more emotional than when I won, because I got to watch it happen. So we've talked about it, and she was more emotional when I won, because it's different when you're watching someone do it versus you, because you just I don't know, you're more in the moment, and it's kind of a shock where I'm processing what's happening when I was watching her get her medal and stuff. So yeah, it still is unreal. We both look back and we're like, we won medals for Canada and at the Olympics, and it's very surreal, because I haven't won obviously a medal since, and I don't.
But you got a gold.
Yeah. I don't think I realized how hard it was.
Yeah.
And how hard it is to win a medal at the Olympics. Yeah.
So life shifted overnight for you after becoming an Olympic champion, bringing home a gold medal.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What was it like coming back home? What was it like with your friends, family? I'm sure everyone wanted to interview you. Your face is everywhere. What was that? Were you prepared for that? Is that something you visualize, mentally prepare for?
No. And it was also right after COVID. So it was August 2021. And so I had seen the same 7 people for the last year and a half. And so coming back here, and obviously there were still restrictions, but you could do so much more, and everyone wanted to see me, which is amazing. But it was so much. I was so overwhelmed, and I was only here for I think 10 days, and all I wanted to do was get back to Ontario and keep on training, because that's all I had known for so long. And so, yeah, it was a lot. It was really cool, and everyone was excited, and it was amazing to see so many people be interested in track cycling, because obviously I care about track cycling, but the average Canadian doesn't know much about track cycling. So that was cool. And obviously everyone was very proud of me, and I loved that, but it was, a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. So yeah, you don't really prepare for that. And so I got back pretty quickly, and I started training again.
Exactly. For me, it's the stories of the obstacles, the injuries, because so much of it
just humanizes the athletes too, and you can relate. A lot of people can't relate to someone who swims all the time or cycles all the time and then goes to the Olympics.
Or eats this certain way.
Yeah, exactly.
This much protein.
But you can relate to if they are going through a breakup, or if they have an injury, and you can it humanizes the person, and you can relate. And I think that's what we need to show more of in Canada, I think.
Indeed. I really wonder, what is the mindset of how do you fight another day? And whether you have an injury or not, it's training again after Paris, right? What was that like for you after Paris? Because Tokyo was so magical. You had this whole experience because it's the inside that not everyone is seeing. Because yes, people see the social media posts, and I'm sure you're posting a picture of a croissant or enjoying afterwards. Because a part of it is yes, you're there to compete, but also hopefully maybe enjoy a little bit of exploring this new city, this new country.
Yeah, Paris was tough. Yeah. Even the build up to Paris, I was struggling for mid 2023, early on in 2023 up until 2024, and I couldn't stop or take a break because that's qualifying period. So it's we need to qualify for the Olympics. And if I want to be in Paris and competing, I need to keep going and pushing through. And so physically going through that was tough, because I was pushing harder than ever. I was working harder than ever. I was so dialed in, but I was getting slower and slower. And so mentally I was just getting destroyed, because it had worked so well before. My career trajectory was like this. I just started training, and I got better and better, and I was winning, and everything was coming easy. And then after that, my body didn't feel right on the bike, and I just started to plummet. And that's when people were watching and expecting me to win. And so it was, just tough to go through. And then obviously to go through Paris, knowing where I was at, and having the rest of Canada and the world see where I was at was really hard. And then after, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't feel like I was being supported properly out in Ontario, so I came back to Alberta, but I hadn't been back in Alberta in like 6-7 years, and so it was like kind of starting over again. But people were very supportive and incredible. Your family and friends who have been there from day one, and they obviously don't care about track cycling. They care about you, and they want you to do well and feel well and be happy. But you kind of I relate that to me performing on the bike. And so me not performing was devastating for me, but then I also felt it was devastating for the people who had supported me and had expectations of me to do better. And so, yeah, it was tough to go through. So I just kept pushing. And then eventually Paris came, and it went how it went. And I finished 8th in the world, which, yeah, but yeah. But for me, I knew I had so much more, and it was so frustrating to go through. And so, yeah, taking a step back.
Is it because you had not given yourself time to relax?
Yeah, I didn't stop. I didn't, and a lot of people were like, you need balance, and like, I was doing so well with what I was doing, and I loved what I did. Like, I loved training, and so I'm like, I don't want to stop. When I stop, I'm sad I'm not training. And so it was more so I needed to listen to my body and adapt the training versus completely stop, because I knew I didn't want to stop. But yeah, pushed through little aches and pains, which ended up being injuries, and just made it so much worse. And so I burnt myself out, and I still think I'm recovering from it. So like, obviously I got to switch sports and do bobsleigh, and like my cup was full mentally because I was with these people and I was happy again, but like my body still wasn't performing to the best of its ability. And so I'm still dealing with that now. And I think a lot of people can relate to burnout, and you're like, oh, I'll take a week off then. And then you still don't feel great. And it's like, sometimes burnout, it's going to take months to even a year or so. So it's like giving yourself that time. And like, that's what I'm trying to do now, by like very slowly easing back into cycling and training. Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, like, how is your training now? How are you not only training your body, but also your mind? Mm-hmm. How are you may not like this word, but self-care. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, people even talk to me about that word, right? Like, what are you doing for self-care? And like, for me, part of that is like, I've gotten into reading fantasy books, especially romantasy. Yeah, nice. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, cup of tea, I have a dog and a cat, and they're next to me, and I need to switch my brain off because I'm super into productivity.
Yeah, I could be doing something right now. Yeah.
Who can I be talking to? Dude, I gave myself a lot of anxiety around FIFA because I was like, you didn't plan enough between Milano and FIFA. And then I'm like, I need to be everywhere all the time. And I'm just like, I had to really like.
You need to be kind to yourself.
Yeah. So
and
I want to, I want to talk to you about that, right? Mm-hmm. Because for me, it is at certain level. It is not on the global level that people are watching. You know, some people do watch around the world, but you know, for you, having this Tokyo, Paris, Milano, and now going into LA, like, what is that looking like? What is that inner training looking like?
Yeah, I'm really trying to hold back and be patient with myself. And like, all I want to do right now is get back on the bike and start training and competing again so that I can be ready for LA. But I'm like, I've done this before. I've learned that I can burn myself out so quickly. And so I'm really trying to like ease back in. And a lot of people are like, well, why aren't you back on the track and like lifting again? And it's just like, I'm trusting myself and trusting that I'm making the right decisions to take it slow, which is very hard for me to do. But then I'm distracting myself with a bunch of other stuff. Like, I've seen my friends more often. I've gone on trips. I went on a girls' trip for the first time in like 7 years to Vancouver last weekend, and it was amazing to just be okay with not training and like enjoying the moment. Fun. Yeah. And I have fun training, but it was like away from it and like giving my body and mind a break and like, and so trying to do that more and like reestablish myself back in Alberta. I haven't trained cycling here since when I started back in 2018. And so there's a brand new velodrome here. And so trying to figure out where I fit into that and how I can be more involved in the community. And so like in Toronto, I didn't really establish myself. I just trained. And so I didn't go to schools and do talks. I wasn't super involved in the cycling community out there. And so being back here and like being able to drive from Sherwood Park to Edmonton very easily compared to driving from outside Toronto in, I can do that. And so I'm just, looking forward to like how I will navigate that and balance it with the training.
Do you often hear from like young athletes, like especially female athletes who, or even kids in high school who want to, because, you know, one of the things you were talking about, the body and being a female, and how when you were in Paris versus Milan, Tokyo versus Milan, like the difference, age-wise, like, do you often get messages from athletes wanting to speak to you, or, you know, asking for advice, or?
Yeah, well, I'm like very grateful. I'm with the RBC, and I went through the RBC training ground because it's a huge network of young athletes aged like 14 to 25 who have reached, not all of them, but some have reached out to me and like asked for advice or what the next steps are once you go to the program. And so like that part is cool to like be able to be a part of that community and like see myself in them, because I went through the exact same thing. Like I signed up for this event, no idea what would come from it, and now I've been able to go to 3 Olympics in 2 different sports. So it's like showing these kids that anything is possible, and so trying to like instill that in them, because if you go and say in school, you're like, I want to go to the Olympics, people are going to be like, what are you talking about, in what? And where instead you're in this environment of athletes or like mentors, and you're like, I want to go to the Olympics. And I'm like, nice, okay, which sport are we thinking? Like, what's our strengths? And so being able to be a part of that community is really special for me. And then, I don't know if I've had that many women who are similar in age to me that have reached out, because I honestly think most women at my age are now moving on. They're done with sport. And so I'm definitely more in touch with the younger, like under 25, or like when you finish university and you're like, I don't know what to do now, or like you blew out your knee, you can't play soccer anymore. It's like, well, you can still ride a bike. And so those are the conversations I have more often.
Amazing. What does leadership mean to you?
Leadership means a lot. I think my like new slogan or things I say is like, environment is everything. And I was obviously just in an environment that I wasn't happy with anymore. And I tried to change the environment, and I learned that that would take more away from me. I didn't realize how draining it was. And so I changed my environment, and I left and I came into a new one, and I gained so much from it. And I don't know if it was the leadership that was different or, what made it better, but I just really felt a community and was just happy to be there every day. And so to be led by strong leaders is very important, and then to hopefully be a strong leader myself, and whether that's leading people verbally and like guiding them, or if it's just through action and showing them what's possible. I think, leadership is very important.
I ask almost every athlete who competes on a global level, every Canadian athlete, what it means to wear the maple leaf on their back. You know, to stand there, listen to the national anthem, what does that mean to you? Yeah,
it means a lot. I don't know how to put it into words, because it's something I didn't think I'd ever do. I never was going to make Team Canada soccer, and my goal was to play university soccer, and I got to accomplish that, and that was amazing. But I never thought I'd be able to represent Canada, and so to be able to do that is huge. And then just to know who I'm representing and the community back home, and like everyone who has supported me are like so special to me, and I just hope I can represent them on the international stage the best I can. And I think that's probably why I add a little bit more pressure to myself, because they're so special to me, and I want them to see success in what I do and be a part of it. So it's very special, and I love being Canadian, and I'm very proud to represent Canada. So I'm grateful I get to keep doing it.
Amazing. In Cortina, I know in Milan there were a lot of Canadians. Did you see a lot of Canadian jerseys, like fans and folks coming in? There were so many people.
A lot of people came out, actually. The bobsleigh was kind of set up differently, because there was like stands at the top, and then throughout the track you could see, and when you're going down you don't really see them, but at the top you could see all the Canadian flags, and that was really cool.
What, other than your sports goals, Olympics goals, what are some other personal goals you're working towards in your life right now?
That's tough. I think I'm just trying to, I'm not putting pressure on myself, but I'm trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to figure it out, because I feel like I've been trying to figure it out since high school. Like, what courses do you take in high school? Okay, what university should you go to? What should you take at university? Like, and just trying to like do all the steps that you're supposed to do in life. And I don't know if I make it to LA or not. I don't know what's next after that. my boyfriend lives in Germany. I don't know if I'll end up in Germany. It's just like figuring out what's next and kind of coming up with different scenarios and plans, and like, yeah, it's me navigating what's next in life. And it's not stressful, and I'm not putting pressure on myself, but I'm asked constantly, especially after Italy. It's like, okay, well, like, now what? Are you going to move back to Edmonton and like stay there? Like, are you going to go to Germany? And I'm just like, I don't know. And like being okay with not knowing. And it's okay important
to allow it to unfold.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay too, because we know when it feels right. Like even 100%. For this trip, like the interviews, because I know, like there was a time that because I would have a certain amount of hours, I would have time slots to fill, but I'm so intentional about the storytelling and who I'm sitting down with. And thank you, I appreciate that. And because what I'm choosing to highlight and give energy to, it's...
Your energy is so important. Yeah. And you have to be very cautious with it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and talk to the 18-year-old Kelsey, what would you say to her?
To trust my gut. Yeah, I think if 18-year-old me could see me now, I'd be like, there's no way, like, are you kidding me? You're so cool. And so I like need to remind myself of that, because obviously the ups and downs of it all, but like, I'm so proud of myself that I went with this and I went all in, and I knew whatever the outcome was, I'd be okay. And like, it just kept getting better and better. And so, yeah, I think I would tell her to trust her gut, because I've done that and it's gone against a lot of the norms and a lot of what you should be doing according to society, and it's worked out really well. So
it's the path less traveled.
Yeah.
You have to carve your own. And it's something that I've learned, and I have to talk to myself. And I'm a little bit older than you, and I'll be 44 this summer. And
you look great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You look great. Yeah.
But honestly, man, it took me, I would say, like, it only started like last year, a year ago, that I started being like, so little by little, the friend circle, not on one person's side, but you know, people just started kind of disappearing.
Yeah.
It hurt me.
Yeah.
But I channel that pain into my work, and I realized that I need to protect that energy, who I'm sharing the dreams with, and to be okay with that solitude, to be okay with because that's where the ideas come. That's where everything comes. And it has to be, sometimes it has to be that solitary existence that allows you to be creative, that gives you that passion. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, because I feel like, you know, this is something when I'll be doing like a deeper meditation or doing some tapping or whatever that I've started doing again recently. You know, I look at like, where does this fire come from? So I would kind of like to ask you, because I do sense that inside of you, where do you think that this fuel, this energy, this desire to, because what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, is I feel like you want to keep pushing your own limits and boundaries, but also society's and also people's ideas of you, and like define it, you know, like I feel like that's what I consistently try to do, to be like, to make sure that I'm not influenced by what other people's ideas on life are, that I'm creating my own ideas and my own identity. Yeah. So what fuels you? What is that? Because I think it is that there's a fire inside of you is what I want to hear. Like, what is it that is that desire, that fuel, that fire?
Yeah. I think for me, I like really, it's simple. I just focused on what made me happy. And I went, after I graduated, I went to Southeast Asia to travel around, find myself. And I remember coming back and I was so lost, and like, I had no job and no money, and it was just like my rock bottom, and I like didn't know what I was doing. I was done with sport, and I got a job driving a truck for 8 hours a day, and I was grateful for the job, but I had like so much time to think. And like in those 8-hour drives, I was just kind of like, what makes you happy? Like, how do you pick your next route in life when you're how old? I was like 21 at the time. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I took an instrumentation trade. Like, was I going to go work in the oil fields? Like, I had no idea. And I was just like, well, that's not going to make me happy. I'm like, what makes me happy? And that was like the focus. And it was being an athlete and doing sport. And so like, I am so grateful that it's almost 10 years. Like, 10 years later, I'm still doing it, because I was told, oh, your career is going to be short. Like, you're starting the sport so late. Like, Tokyo will be your kind of like only Olympics if you make it. And now I've gone to 2 more after that. And I'm like, people aren't going to put me in a box. Like, I'm going to do, like, who knows what I'm capable of. And like, hopefully I can show people that they can believe in themselves and see what they're capable of. So like, the big focus for me is like doing what makes me happy. And I think people fall into the social norms too much and don't do what makes them happy. And so I really try and focus on that.
I love that. What advice would you give to young female athletes out there who may still be in high school and considering pursuing it professionally?
What I told myself was to go all in, and the outcome will be the outcome. And regardless of it, I'll know I gave it my best, and will have learned and grown so much from it. And that's what I told myself when I was trying cycling for the first time. I was like, I'm going to go all in. Either I love it or I hate it. We'll find out. And if I'm any good at it, we'll find out. And I knew, regardless, I would walk away with my head held high and like know I gave it my best, and like we'll have learned so much from the journey. And it's like, even now I'm like kind of starting over in cycling again, but it's not the same. I'm not the same person I was when I first started, because I've grown so much. And so it's like, if you go through a breakup and you're going to start dating again, it's like you're not the same person that you were before. Like, or you've gotten fired from a job and you're looking again. It's like, I'm starting over. It's like you're starting over with all this new knowledge and experience. And so, I think, my advice is, whatever it is, whether it's academics or sport or moving across the country or the world, go all in and like learn from the process and the outcome. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Last question. I leave Edmonton later this week. What do I need to experience before I leave? Other than meeting you, of course.
Well, after meeting me, you went to the Oilers game.
Yes.
That's a big one. I haven't been back in so long. So like, I want you to tell me what people tell you. What to experience in Edmonton. Yeah. Have you been going out for dinners and food? Good food here.
Yeah, I went to Empress today in Chinatown. Okay. Dim sum. Yeah. Oh my God, I love how people get dressed up here. You guys have seen. It's incredible. It's the
Oilers fans are crazy. My mom is telling me stats on like Draisaitl, like he had a lower leg injury, and I'm just like, how do you know this? Like, why do you know that? Like, and they'll watch it like just so and I love it. It brings the community together. I'm like, sport is so beautiful. Anyways. Yeah.
I know Vancouver loves the Canucks, but it's different. It's not like that. I was like, dude, the arena was full. It was packed. Yeah. And then outside, thousands of people to watch the game outside in several different areas. And then there's the bars and everything. It's a vibe. It's an experience. So one of my baristas in my favorite cafe that sadly closed, Matchstick in Yaletown, I think she's from here, but she sent me a picture of her in the jersey on the day of the game. She's like, Zara, you liked Milan? Trust me, this is a different experience. These fans are another level. This city bleeds orange and blue. And I don't think I was prepared. I saw Mama Stanley. Like, there was one guy who was standing in the line since 11 a.m. and it was like 7 p.m.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen or experienced this anywhere else. Yeah. I've never gone to I've heard NFL games are crazy, or like university football down in the States is crazy, but I'm like,
this is special, and I love it. And like you said, it brings people together. I like how there were towels there. I somehow got to have, I know how I got to have thanks to Trent Brown, the Chairman's Suite experience. So I saw the athletes at their leave. I'm going to show this to you. It was like, people are like, dude, you're so lucky. So I keep saying, I'm like, I'd like to go to the game tonight, but I kind of want to rest as well. So I watch it, but I'm open to tickets. I'm open to tickets. Kelsey, thank you so much. I truly appreciate this. It's been incredible getting to know you, hear about your story and your journey, and fingers crossed I'm going to see you in LA.
We'll both be there. You'll be front row.
Yes. And I'm so excited to interview as many Canadian athletes as possible before I go. And
thanks for telling the stories. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I think it's just so important. And there's athletes whose stories I share where I'm not even getting paid, and I just love to be there. And for me, like how you're dedicated to your sport, I'm dedicated to storytelling. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kelsey, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for welcoming us to Edmonton. This has been On Location Edmonton. I'm your host, Zara Durrani. Keep watching. I will keep bringing you stories. Special thanks to TELUS STORYHIVE for helping us bring to Edmonton to share these local stories. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this episode of On Location Vancouver. If you would like to be a guest on the show, please scan the QR code and someone from our team will be in touch. We'll see you soon.